The world's got Iron Man. They don't need me.
Hard Rock Lunchbox.
What is up, everybody? It's time for another Hard Rock Lunchbox today. Curious what kind of experience you all have had with YouTube this past week. I feel like I should take a bow. I should take a lap. I should thank the Academy, but I'm not going to do that. I'm a better man. What I am going to do is read a series of tweets. I'm not sure I can do it justice, so I'm just going to read what happened. Anybody that's been following what I like to consider the greatest controversy of 2022, yeah, sure, there's still COVID out there, there's mandates out there, there's Canadian truckers causing all kinds of ruckus up in Ottawa right now. That's going to end soon. We'll be talking about that soon. And don't think for a second our American truckers aren't thinking that that's a good idea, and they're going to say that they came up with it on their own. But I just want to point out, they did not. And yes, there's inflation, there's tensions at Ukraine and Russia, but I think we can all agree that the biggest scandal gate of 2022 so far is clearly Google and YouTube pulling down the top 20, number 58, the lost episode. Well, if you haven't noticed, if you have not been checking your YouTube, first of all, shame on you for not watching the top 20. But if you have not been checking your YouTubes, and your top 20 specifically, you may not know that the lost episode, the top 20, number 58, DJ receives Facebook's lowest honor, has been restored. What? In fact, you know what? No applause for that. There we are. That's way more appropriate. And then applause. And maybe even a drink. What do you think? Just... No, that's kind of stuff. So yeah, the most important scandal of our time seems to have been resolved, but not without a few shots fired. And that's what I'm here to report, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go to our man in the studio. Steve, thanks, Bill. Yeah, we're going to go right live to it. Let me give you one of these. Yeah. Yes, Mr. and Mrs. America and all ships at sea. If you know that reference, you're probably really old. So this all started because I dared to speak its name, ladies and gentlemen. I dared in my quest for journalistic integrity. Why is that so loud? That is the loudest goddamn typewriter. Let me turn that down. In my quest for ongoing journalistic integrity, because I know how important this show is to the news cycle, I have tried to do my part and talk about sciencey things because I have a knack for science, and I try and talk about those things in a social setting because I have a knack for sociology and social psychology and stuff like that, and I honestly thought I was doing a good service, but I was wrong. I was wrong originally. Turns out I was right eventually. So I was wrong originally, but I was right eventually. Think about that. That's cool. I'm going to get that printed on a shirt. Hard Rock Lunchbox. Where's Q? I need Q. Hard Rock Lunchbox. Wrong initially, but right eventually. I think that'll be good. I'll get on him as soon as he gets in this. Anyway, so we're reporting. So this all started when the video got taken down for violating their misinformation policy, medical misinformation policy for YouTube and their parent company Google, which I did not. As you all know, if I'm going to violate anything, you guys are going to know. I want the whole world to know when I'm violating something, and I don't know if that's just me or just, I don't know if everybody feels like that. I think I told you, and I read last week, I read some of the appeal that I actually tried to send into YouTube. They told me to go F myself because that's allowed. But they rejected my appeal, and I was sad. Insert sad emoji here. But I did not stop there. I took to the greatest championing stage of our age outside of the octagon. I went to Twitter. And I said, by the way, Hard Rock Lunchbox does not have a Twitter account, and I'll be working on that soon. So I finally got an Instagram account for it after 8 years, and I think that ought to count. Maybe I'll work on the Twitter. I do have an email, hardrocklunchbox@gmail.com. But anyway, let's end the suspense. Let's clear the oppression out of my throat. Dear Team YouTube, I couldn't call them Mr. Tube because their handle's actually at Team YouTube. So at Team YouTube, can you please check why I received a community guidelines strike for my video, quote, the top 20, number 58. I briefly discussed how vaccines work, as cited by the CDC, but my appeal was rejected anyway without any specificity. And then I put in the link to the lost episode, Raiders of the Lost episode. And then I say, and thank you. I feel like that scene in My Cousin Vinny where it's like the judge is like, the court reporter will strike everything except thank you. That feels like that. And then I also follow up. I can provide all the because of course you're not allowed to tweet the Iliad or the Odyssey because it's too long. But that won't stop me. I will subtweet. I can also provide all the applicable links to the CDC website content if needed. Thank you again. Team YouTube gets back to me the same day. Thanks for reaching out. We have passed this off to our team for a closer review. We appreciate your patience as we look into this. Now, I've been blown off a lot of times in my life, and I know a blow-off when I hear one. But it turned out that was not actually a blow-off. They passed it off to somebody. They passed it off to somebody that was equally as much of a dick as the original appeals process because I said thank you very much because I was raised that way. And then the next day, very next day, I'm sure after a scouring of facts and figures, update. This is from Team YouTube, if I didn't make that clear. Update. We just heard back from our team. And they have reviewed the video you appealed and determined that it is in violation of our community guidelines. Learn more here. And then they send me the link that I had scoured, basically proving that it was not violating anything. And then appreciate your understanding. Yeah, I understand. I understand you did not do your job because I'm kind of cool like that. And then I follow that up with... and this is where being a huge dick comes into, like, huge value for me. Like, this is literally the role I play in most of my universe, where it's like, all right, so we've played nice, and you're still being a dick. It is time to bring out the bigger dick. And not that I have a bigger dick, but I certainly am a bigger dick, and I think that there's probably a huge distinction between those two things. So I just want to be clear. Like, I can be a huge asshole when I need to because I try to be nice first, and then if you don't want to play that game, then we'll play the other game. So anyway, so appreciate you understanding. So I tweet them back at Team YouTube. I am asking for what, in caps, what specifically is in violation as everything posted from the CDC, as everything posted is from the CDC website. Surely, at Team YouTube isn't contradicting CDC information because that would be a violation of your own misinformation policy. People don't like that. To their credit, a day later, the following occurred. At Revel9, that's tweeting. Upon further review, we determined your content doesn't violate our guidelines and have reinstated your video. Any actions taken against your account have also been reversed. There should be no termination against your account based on this takedown. Tweet back at us if needed. And that, my friends, is how you take down Mr. Tube. Yeah. Pass it back to you in the studio, Steve. Thanks, Phil. All right, let me get rid of that. All right, cool. And we're back. Yeah. Now, to be fair, I did ask for an apology, or at least hinted that an apology was in order in my original appeal, but I'll take it. So, yeah, the lost episode number 58. Should be infamous. That should be a number like January 6th. Number 58, right there. No, they're not equal at all, and I don't think they should be equal. But, yeah, Vindicated. And I'm not trying to make a point here. And honestly, as I've said a couple of times, if it were my channel, I probably would not have bothered, because honestly, I don't really have the time for that sort of nonsense. I've been censored on Facebook twice now. I've had my account blocked. I think I'm out because I was able to post that Florida has gone even further anti-gay this week. And we can talk about that too if you want. With DeSantis really just stepping up his homophobia, which is just, mwah, good job, Florida. You think I'm going to be able to sell you back to the Spanish now? Nope. Yes, Kyle, Captain Holt. That must have been amazingly wonderful. Yes, I love Brooklyn Nine-Nine. I got to fix my headphones, people. My cans. Got to fix my cans. Oh, good. Now I look like a werewolf meets a vampire. It's fantastic. Oh, yeah, that's even... You know what? Forget it. Try this again. One last time. Nope. 3 times a charm. Anybody? Oh, God. Even worse, but I'm just going to leave it because... You know what? Hang on. Aha. Ah! My hat saves the day. Give it up for my hat, everybody. All right. Good job. Not even having a bad hair day. I'm just having a hair day because it sucks. By the way, I got a cut. See? I got like 6 to 8 inches cut off. And still a mess. It fixed nothing. Yay! Saying something. Then my hair got in the way. So I don't want to make this about like a big like sort of vindication thing, but like there is something to be said for standing up for yourself when you're right. I told you either last week or the week before that like one of my bigger issues in my own journey, in my own evolution, is my inability to kind of shut up when I think that something is wrong. And I don't need to be the world's I don't need to be the world's champion, right? Like the world's got Iron Man. They don't need me. And I guarantee he can do a better job than me. And even if he can't do it, I'm sure Mr. and Mrs. Incredible can handle it. Like, that is not my job. I have this compulsion. It is absolutely a sickness / disease / some sort of neurotic behavior that it does not sit well with me when something is being assessed or levied about me specifically. That's incorrect. I don't like it when it's in general and tend to correct people that have not asked for my opinion whatsoever, and that's kind of what got me in trouble with the whole Trump thing over the past 5 years, because people would just post stuff that was wildly inaccurate and stuff like that, and it's so funny. Like I was reading an article yesterday. I think it was in Apple News, but they were talking about. You know what? I'm not even going to talk about it because that's probably a buzzword that's going to get me taken down, and I don't need to do it. But they were talking about alternate treatments and how the shady world of alternate treatments and stuff like that. And they had this dude. He's like a vlogger, total anti-everything, anti-establishment, and he was actually in the hospital with it, and was showing his vial, basically, of the alt he was taking while in the hospital, to which the hospital staff did not know he was taking this other stuff. He had done it through telemedicine with this doctor that's based in Florida that's already lost her license in one state and has issues against her in another state, North Carolina. She's going to lose her license in North Carolina. She's not going to lose it in Florida, it doesn't seem, for prescribing stuff that you're not allowed to prescribe, especially to people that are actively in the hospital. But it was a really interesting read about like this whole subculture and counterculture and stuff like that. Like, so I see stuff like that, and I'm like, well, listen, like I'm not trying to tell anybody like what is right, but I am very happy to tell people when they're wrong, like because science has dictated that what they're saying is inaccurate. Like if you're going to be on Instagram, you're going to post 2 + 2 = 5. Like the ability for me to just scroll past that and not say anything is about this much. Like I can't do it. It's and that Like, that is not something to be admired at all, because it's really, like I said, it's borderline sickness. It's certainly some sort of neurotic behavior. I don't exactly know what it stems from. I do know that I had some real issues growing up where, not necessarily my integrity be called into question, but there's a lot of lying going on when I was younger, like in my families and stuff like that. Like, it's just, I don't know, it's just funny. Like, I realized we came across like one of my baby books that my mom had given me not too long ago, and I actually looked at like the family tree on it, and I saw like what my grandfather's father's and mother's name was, and I didn't know that. I had never heard it. Like, my grandfather did not speak about his father or his brother, and I could never bring it up. It wasn't even that he didn't speak. I could not bring it up. Like, there was a lot of that stuff. There's a lot of stuff my grandmother didn't talk about. Her parents, wealthy, famous opera singer, my great-grandfather. I know nothing about him except his name and the fact that he worked with Thomas Edison and sang actually into one of the first phonographs, the thing with like you would record like on the needle. Like, yeah, exactly that. I have relatives that were like in the whatever the ballet, and like lots of stuff about literally no idea. No idea. I didn't even find out until like maybe 10 years ago that my mom was pregnant before they got married, and it never even occurred to me. So, like, surprise, and it doesn't matter to me. Like, I don't care about stuff like that. Just saying, like, there's a lot of that sort of thing, and I don't know if all of that contributes into my, if you're gonna lay something out, like, keep quiet if you don't want to talk about something, but don't bother just lying about stuff. There's really no reason. Like, some of us are adults here, and we can figure it out. So anyway, like, I'm not telling anybody to do anything that I do, because I wouldn't recommend it. It's a miserable experience. It never feels like, that's the thing. Like, if I was one of those smart asses that I went to school with that like always had to be right, like, I don't always have to be right, but I just will not suffer when people are like being actively incorrect about something in my presence, and especially if it has something to do with me. And I think that that's what really led my particular that was loud. Yeah. My particular jousting at windmills in this particular case, aside from the fact that it was Jimmy's YouTube account, not mine. So I'm going to be a little more quiet about that. Speaking of which, if you check out, we can do a little housekeeping here. If you check out this week's Top 20, I would super duper appreciate it. I'm trying to get those views kind of up. For not funsies at the time, I did not know that I was going to be vindicated by YouTube. So I hella edited this episode because I thought I was going to need to, and I got kind of obnoxious about it. But, like, that's really, yeah, man. You should check out this week's episode. It's got a lot of edits in it. It's almost funnier with the edits. That's right. The less of me there is, the better the show it's going to be. And I think we can all agree on that, right? It's unbelievable. Unbelievable. But yeah, so some basic housekeeping. That one, aside from me just totally blasting Mr. Tube and all that other stuff, you can check that out. And I talk about like misinformation and all that other stuff. I talk about the fake social media accounts. I don't know if I talked about the false flag thing that they found out that our spy network, our intelligence network, found out that Russia was planning a false flag operation in Ukraine, which is basically where they're going to just drop mass misinformation. They had found footage and commission of actors to basically play like Russians that had been killed by Ukrainians in Ukraine. Actors. This is real wag the dog type stuff. And what we did, which I think is actually a brilliant move, is we released all that information about Russia so they couldn't, they could, because Putin's just a bad dude. But it would seem silly, like, yeah, we said 2 weeks ago you were going to do exactly this with this other dude that's actually still alive because he was an actor, like, which I thought was really funny about it. Yeah, I thought it was a pretty good episode. I would check it out. Bacon is my Codpast. Bacon is my Codpast. That's about fish. Bacon is my podcast has a full interview out with Moon Valjean, who is super interesting. I'm only halfway through the interview, but I want to watch the rest of it. I dig him. Like, he's been in like Greek Fire, which I've played here, used to play here all the time. I think I'll probably play some again later today just because it would be kind of current. But he was also in The Story of the Year, which I thought was good. I did not know he was in Goldfinger, actually. Played bass for Goldfinger. So really interesting interview. Check that out. I do want to give shout-outs to my buddy Mikey, who mispronounced his name right out of the gate and apparently knew better because Jimmy called him out on it. And I thought that was really funny because I didn't know how it was pronounced, and I was like, oh, I figured Valjean, because that's like Valjean, whatever. And so Mike's like, yeah, we have Moon Valjean, and Jimmy's like, it's not that, which I thought was just so great, because then Mikey's response was like, yeah, I do know it's not that, but I did it anyway, which I love. I thought that was fantastic, and just a beautiful shining example of the human condition. But I just check it out. It's on Strangerhood TV. We need your views anyway. Just view it, like it, comment on it. Everybody at Strangerhood always comments back or answers your comments eventually. And thank you everybody that does like and watch and comments on the top 20 especially. I really am trying to drive those numbers up, but currently I'm just doing it with my mental powers. But my mental powers are definitely not working so great this time around, so I could definitely use some of your help. But again, the highlight really of the week is, I stood up for myself and my stupid little show here, and YouTube backed down, which I would have bet dollars to donuts was not going to happen, and yet here we are. And I think there's really only one way to truly express how I'm feeling about this moment in music, and that's what we do here on the Top 20 in the Hard Rock Lunchbox. We present a soundtrack for what's going on in your life. And you know what's going on in my life right now? This.